Yes.
Okay. It is now time for a question period. The member from Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke.
Thank you very much, Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Energy. Minister, there's been much speculation but few hard facts about your selling off of Hydro One. It's very worrisome how secretive you've been throughout this process. Hydro One is the property of the people of Ontario, and they have every right to know your party's schemes to sell their assets to dig you out of the fiscal mess that you and your Premier have created. Your leader constantly talks about running an open and transparent government. Now's your chance to live up to her words. Minister, when do you intend to reveal to the people exactly what you plan to do with Hydro One?
Minister of Energy.
A good deal.
In the fullness of time.
Mr. Speaker, I think the Premier and other members of Cabinet have made it very, very clear that decisions with respect to our assets and our repurposing of assets will likely be included in the next budget, Mr. Speaker. I think the question implies something terrible about the timing, Mr. Speaker. The reality is Mr. Clark has been working on this now for 10 months. He has a team of very experienced, sensitive, responsible people who are looking at all of our assets, Mr. Speaker, to see how they can be repurposed in order that we can fund the infrastructure and fund the projects that the members on the other side continually ask for. They stand up and are asking for transit. They're asking for transit in all parts of the province, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
And now we're going to provide the need.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Thank you very much. Minister, Hydro One is paid for by the electricity consumers of this province. They are the ones who have built the asset. They are the ones who own it. The company's operations, employees, and pensions have been paid for by the electricity ratepayers. Minister, you've already socked it to the
Minister of Agriculture, come to order.
them paying among the highest energy prices in North America. You've suggested that you plan to take any proceeds from the potential sale and invest it in infrastructure. How can you justify putting the cost of infrastructure onto the hydro bills of the people of this province?
Thank you. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the member that the directions and instructions that we have provided to those experts who are advising us is that the interest of the ratepayer shall be paramount, Mr. Speaker.
Member from Lanark, come to order.
We believe there will be opportunities, Mr. Speaker, for significant mitigation of rates under a new structure that we would set up, Mr. Speaker. And in addition to that, Mr. Speaker, the members know that this is a regulated industry, that the Ontario Energy Board manages the rates in this province for gas, Mr. Speaker, for electricity, and frequently requests for increased rates are rejected or they're lowered by the Ontario Energy Board, Mr. Speaker. We have a strong advocate for the consumer in the Ontario Energy Board. Regardless of what happens, the Ontario Energy Board will continue to strongly represent the interest of the consumer.
Thank you. Final supplementary.
Minister, in 12 years, you have never put the interests of the energy consumer first, not once. They don't trust your government on the energy file. They've seen their hydro bills more than triple since 2003. Disasters, scandals, and fiascos are the legacy of your energy policy. The people are worried that because of your desperate need for cash, you will sell off Hydro One at far below market value. Minister, will you commit to the people of Ontario today that before any deal is signed, you will put it in front of the Financial Accountability Officer and the Auditor General so that they can vet it to ensure that Ontarians are getting fair market value for the asset that they own?
Order. Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Wow, this is really rich coming from this side of the House. I tell you, that's the party that messed it up in the first place and left us with a legacy of stranded debt that is costing ratepayers to this day, Mr. Speaker. And what we're going to do, and what we've made very clear in the budget in 2014, is to do a full review of these assets, which are rightly owned by the people of Ontario. And that is exactly who we're fighting for. That's why we're going to do everything we can. Now, I may also say that it's premature premature to make any responses because decisions haven't been made specifically on the report that's being done right now. But the principles are guided by the fact that public interest must remain paramount and is protected, that decisions are aligned with maximizing value for Ontarians, and that the decision process will remain transparent, professional, and independently validated. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Any question? Member from Oxford.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my question is